Hi, everybody, and I'm Catherine Havasi. I love data, and my company got to do all the social analytics and text analytics for the World Cup, and we learned a lot about how big text is different than big data. I want to share that with you so you don't have to learn it too. So, we got to, with Sony and their digital agency Isobar, we got to make this lovely app that some of you might have used that was sort of the second screen experience from the World Cup. We nicknamed it Vuvuzela because hot air went in one end and buzz went in the other end. And so basically what this did is took a lot of data in. Because you're at South by, I don't need to tell you that data is huge. IDC and EMC say we'll make 40 zettabytes by 2020. If you put all the data we're making now on iPads, you'd make the Great Wall of China twice. And with that, especially here at South by Southwest, we've seen a big interest in big data. If you look at South by Southwest, there's about 995 events that mention big data, including a band named Big Data, which is sort of new for me. And everybody thinks about big data, they get very excited about the Internet of Things, but we're creating text, and what does that mean? So there were 672 million tweets during the World Cup, from the start of the friendlies to the end of the final tournament, and that was the biggest thing that's ever happened in social media by quite a bit. And you know, the World Cup is very big, and with text, there comes a lot of interesting problems. So big data is the 4 V's. Every conference I go to, somebody tries to add another V. People have probably added 3 V's by the end of this event. But really what it means is that big data is things we don't know what to do with regular techniques that we use. So why is text different? And why is text special? But when I think of big data, I think of really big data, like CERN, like NASA, like what's going to happen with the Internet of Things. I don't think about people typing on keyboards because we can't make all that stuff, right? But we can do other things that cause there to be problems. So this is the shocking slide. This is the last day of the World Cup. 97% of public social came from Twitter. It did not come from Open Facebook. It did not come from Google+. It's pretty much all Twitter. So how much data is that? If we think about how much data that is, we have made 300 billion tweets ever, which is 30 terabytes of text. And if XKCD says the entire internet fits in a shoebox, if you put it on laptops, you can think of how tiny the amount of Twitter is. So nothing like CERN, but it comes with different kinds of problems. It's very spiky and unpredictable. The largest number of tweets sent at any point in time ever was during the Japanese movie Cloud in the Sky, when everybody in Japan tweeted what the main hero said when he defeated the bad guy at the same time and crashed Twitter. And you know, that happens a lot during the World Cup, and with the same kind of frequency, because people make goals, everybody gets excited, everyone tweets goal at the same time. You don't want to listen to that if you're listening to the World Cup. It's also super spammy, as you know, if you've been listening to the South by hashtag. And another thing you know if you've been listening to the South by hashtag is that Twitter is getting crowded. And there's a bunch of people here for different reasons, and it's like a bunch of people screaming in a room at the same time. And you need to be able to try to understand who's talking about what, why they're talking about it, and who's just trying to sell something, and weed all of that into the appropriate bins, and that becomes difficult. But the biggest problem with text and big text is that it's text. So when we communicate, we like to be creative. Everybody on stage has been super creative in the language they've used, and we can't really process that easily with computers. So that is a big problem, because if you checked into a bar or your Airbnb and it smelled a little musty, there are lots of different ways you could communicate that. And we know that these are all the same things, but it's really hard for a computer to figure that out, and that's something that, you know, a bunch of people in data like me really get passionate about. So we did about 5 things. We eliminated spam. We removed duplicates, so you didn't hear 6 people yelling goal at the same time. We ended up clustering conversation so that things that were relevant came together and things that were outliers were discarded, and we brought relevant things up to the top. But there was another thing that originally you wouldn't anticipate that became a real big problem, which is that what people talk about all the time during the World Cup is not what you expect. So you can't really expect what's coming in. You can't search for keywords. You really have to be adaptive. We have lots of these great graphs. This one didn't come out on the slide so well, but you can see here kind of in the 80-minute mark that something strange happened, which is that one guy in the World Cup bit the other guy, and there's no way you would have expected that when you started working on this particular project. So we needed to actually go out and invent technology that would say, look, what people are talking about is changing, and you know, we need to do that too. We need to be able to start following things and realize that everybody was making bite jokes was actually talking about this game automatically, and then drop it when it became, you know, weird and creepy things. So after that, what we did was take this and use it actually to help understand what was being said about Ebola, to try to get misinformation out. And then we did all kinds of advertising and also some news analytics as well. So that was big text. But the thing about big text is that it both requires you to think deeper about it, and it also allows you to think deeper about it because there's not certain size piece of information. Thank you.